Welcome back to the show When Skills Matter, the podcast for forward-thinking L&D and HR leaders who come together to exchange ideas and perspectives on workforce development, learning and performance. Today, I'm joined by Valerie Merrill, founder of Merrill Consultants International. Valerie has spent many years helping organizations improve performance through leadership development, management capability, and practical training programs that translate into measurable business results. Her work focuses on helping leaders and teams build the skills needed to perform effectively in real-world workplace environments, particularly as organizations face increasing complexity, digital change, and evolving workforce expectations. She also hosts the excellent Secrets of Learning and Development podcast, where she explores practical ideas and insights from leaders in the L&D world. So Valerie, it's great to have you with us.
Thank you. Lovely to be with you, Robin.
You've been in the training industry for a while. How has the world of training changed in your experience over time?
It's changed incredibly fast. The issues that we used to worry about or think about maybe 20 years ago are completely different ways of delivering those courses and delivering those outcomes. We've been through so many different iterations of centralized to decentralized. And so it continues to excite. And it's really the people that are in front of you and that you're working with are the most important in any of these rollouts, transformations, even just a skills session, upskilling on a particular topic.
We started in the classroom and then we migrated from that into blended learning and ebooks and then online. And it's just moved and moved and moved. And it never seems to stop changing.
No, it doesn't. Maybe that's the way it is now for us all. Hey, Robin?
Yeah, absolutely. So can we address the topic that is on everybody's mind today, skills? Do you agree with the statement, the shelf life of skills is shrinking?
The shelf life of skills is shrinking. I think that some of the skills that we have can be adapted or modified, and so we can refresh and change. But there are also new skills. Unless you were a developer, would you have thought about prompting and coding? No, you wouldn't. But now with AI, whether it's as an end user in ChatGPT or Claude or Microsoft Copilot, you're being asked to build questions, prompts, in order to get relevant outcomes and answers and content and feedback from it, whichever tool you're using. So that's a new skill. That's a new way of doing things. So you're learning very fast and iterating quite fast and hopefully checking everything that's coming out. So skills, a process of how you do things, a framework of how you do things, that's all changing. It's all up for grabs.
There's a sudden panic that people all need to learn AI. The government's putting huge amounts of money into training the workforce of tomorrow by training them in AI. But do you think that that's the right approach for AI? Or do you think AI is a tool that we just need to learn to work with as and when needed, but not panic and feel that we have to learn all sorts of new courses about AI?
I don't think you should be panicked into anything. We need to have a very calm head around a lot of the things that are going on. Whether you're in L&D or whether you're running an organization, I think you need to be aware of what is happening in the AI field and how new elements and new tools and features and functions can reshape and help you to work in a more performance-related way or even a more personalized way. But what you're thinking about in so many things is, what does it mean for me? The organizations need to be aware of it and they need to start slowly and plan it and put strategy in and have all the guardrails and security and governance that a new system requires. It's not about bolting on a piece of AI or a tool onto an old system and then saying, where's the return on investment? Hang on a minute, that wasn't working before. With AI, you need a new way of a new process way and a new way of doing things. So choose something that maybe hasn't worked for quite a while. And you thought, it's important, but it's way down the priority list. But that's a great way to cut your teeth on AI and use it as a sandpit to test and evaluate. Is this something that's going to work for us? Because one size does not fit all, but there are many models and many sizes now. So Organizations have to prioritize it, but it comes alongside or an equal, really, for me, with things like cybersecurity. You've got to think about safety and regulation as well as what does it mean for me? And where are other organizations in your field going? Sometimes we've been in the past, and I'm sure this has happened to you, we've been told we must use this because they're using it. And if we don't use it, we won't get any more work with them. That, of course, is a difficult one. So what you really want to do is look at what, AI skills and the way we develop skills are being changed. Some of those things have been coming for a while. It's just we've now got so many things together.
But do you think that as you talk to your clients on a daily basis, do you feel that the conversation has shifted, that they're now saying, how do we plan for the future? What do we need to do? As you were saying, you start with some small tasks and see how that works. But are you experiencing that kind of requirement from your clients? And is it changing the way that you're delivering your consultancy?
Absolutely. The conversation about what does this really mean for me has been going on for probably since the autumn of 23. When a client said to me, what does this AI mean for me then, Valerie? And I thought, shoot, I don't really know what it means for me. In terms of how we look at what it can do. So there are lots of brilliant tools that are coming along, but some of them, it's a bit like that adoption curve, We see a huge rise as it goes to the top of the curve and then it falls down again. And sometimes that is because some products merge, some products don't actually get off the ground properly. Some people decide not to use that anymore. And there becomes a segment, a percentage of people where their uptake and adoption is phenomenal. So everybody follows those routes. So in terms of organizations and the conversations, sometimes they can be general and sometimes they can be very specific because you're looking at making a difference for those organizations, which L&D can do in terms of understanding the mission, the goals, the people, the community, how people like to learn. There's many aspects around saying this is a good tool for you, but I think there's no substitute for analysis, testing, and having a sample.
Well, that leads me on to another question, which is related, I guess, which is data versus guesswork in training. Many organizations still choose training programs based on assumptions. People have been promoted, so we now need to train them on some new things. Onboarders need to be trained in standard programs that we deliver. We expect people to know when they join. How important do you think it is for organizations to diagnose skills gaps properly before investing in development initiatives?
Data is incredibly important, providing you have access to it and you can analyze it properly. So a lot of people find that their data is spread all over the place and needs to be cleansed a little bit in order to be able to analyze it properly, shall we say. I think the onboarding and the promotion and the requirement for different skills and different ways of doing things, I think with onboarding, it's important that you recruit the right people because actually, in some ways now, people being hybrid, people working in different ways, and also across the globe, different time zones, we need people that are able to understand and pick up on things in a different way. So it doesn't mean to be faster. It just means to have an open attitude and a motivation to go that extra mile, if you like. And when you promote people, you are looking for people that have got a majority of skills, the skills that maybe are more difficult to teach. You want to go for skills where it's easy to bolt those skills on to take those people up to the next level of their career or of their promotion, because it's key that you use that data to its best advantage, and those skills gaps can inform you and help you to produce the right intervention in the right way at the right time.
Indeed. And actually, on the onboarding issue, there's a real challenge now with CVs. So, when you advertise for a job, CVs get analyzed by AI, and it's causing a huge problem for young, competent, clever, smart people who are applying for jobs and who are getting rejected because AI's got the wrong parameters and prompts.
It's the bias. And also right now I'm seeing a lot of people who are applying for different roles. They don't even get to the first base sometimes because of that. You haven't got keywords in your CV that we need. It's not demonstrating what we need. I know lots of people are looking at this because It is an important thing, potentially it's discriminatory. When you've got 100 people applying for a role, or even 1,000 people applying for a role, there has to be something in order to help you to differentiate. Whether or not you then revisit the people that didn't even get to first base and say, just to change the model, update things to say, we need to include these people.
It's a big challenge, and I think we're going to have to see it unfold, and there'll be mistakes made, and it will be tough. But you work with organizations helping leaders and managers build practical capabilities. From your perspective, which leadership or management skills have been most important in the last few years?
I think an openness with management and leaders, because we're not sitting in an office or sitting close by. I think the ability to look after your people, to create psychological safety, to build that, resilience, adaptability. You're looking for good leadership where you don't feel that, I don't speak up and say something because I might not get asked to do that again.
Yeah.
The way we work day to day has changed. We want to be treated as we would treat them. So as a leader yourself, you want to look after your team and support your team. And if they need help, then you help them. If they don't want to be micromanaged, you don't micromanage them. But providing we're all on the same page, doing the same thing, working towards the same goals. And if you need help, you say, I need 5 minutes, Robin, can you help me with this?
Do you think leadership is a tougher job now that people are, as you stressed earlier, working from home? They're not there the whole time. And so you've got to manage people in remote locations.
It is a tougher role. It suits some people more than others. I think if you're emotionally savvy, if you understand people, which in theory, getting to that role could well develop those aspects so that you are looking at people as individuals. Yes, they're an employee. Yes, they're part of your workforce. Yes, they're part of your team. But actually, everybody's got stuff going on. In the past, nobody brought that stuff to work. And I think now we're much more inclusive and encompassing to say, you want to take a day off. Some clients can do that. Some people can say, we need a break from that. We'll move you into another area or to suit, because it's about giving people the right culture and platform to flourish. And leadership can be very lonely unless you've got a good team around you. And it's back on trusting your workforce. That word, we haven't really mentioned it, but trust is an incredibly important thing. If you believe that job will get done and you trust them to do a good job, then you'll work around any of the things that maybe in the past would have caused disruptions and disruption.
It's a question, and I don't think there is an answer to it. What is it that makes a team click so that everybody gets motivated by their peers?
Well, that's why it's interesting, because that's why you see some companies that have got teams of people that are high functioning and actually work very well together. But sometimes those people, if you took them into another scenario, they wouldn't flourish as well. It's either something that those people give each other subconsciously that they don't even know about or they don't realize. If you can understand how they like to work, how they like to function, what they like to do, and you want to make sure that you work well together, then you will listen and really listen and be supportive to each other. And again, right now, everything's so fast moving, there's so many things happening. We do need to be supportive to each other in the workplace.
People actually work better in certain environments than others. They might be reserved, they might be outgoing. You've got to try and match the right people together to get the best out of a team.
But you do need to have a diverse team, having diversity and different types of people, because you actually make better decisions. It's just learning how to communicate and function together.
Yes.
That's a leadership thing as well.
Different perspectives, yes, and getting the best out of a team rather than individuals. Yeah. Do you know what difference learning makes, how to change behavior? I mean, in other words, do you find that training people, they then go away and practice what you taught them, or do you find that after training session it kind of dissipates and they don't retain it?
Particularly if you mentioned behavioural change there, and we know behavioural change takes weeks and months. If you can shine a light into an area where maybe there has been an issue or the reason for the whole program in the first place has come up or the session has come up, then if you can shine a light, then you can develop strategies and put some ongoing support in place, whether that's coaching or mentoring or what the company has, which is not off the shelf, but easy to implement. If you make something too difficult, you can make all the suggestions you want, Robin, but nobody's going to pick it up and do it. Because everybody's going to go, that's going to cost too much money, or that's going to be too much of an ache to do. We're not going to do that. There are lots of great leadership development programs going on across the world, and we know people that are working on them right now in different countries. They're all different. It's again that one size does not fit all. You want to have a trainer that understands the culture and understands what the senior management stakeholders are trying to achieve, but also to take on board the challenging them and pushing them a bit out of their comfort zone. I remember a trainer going in and doing a discovery meeting with 4 people at a client. And at the end of it, the ops woman rang me out and said, "Did you brief him?" And I said, "Of course I did." She said, "I thought you would." She said, "But he was absolutely disruptive. So 2 of us love what he's going to do because it's going to shake them all up and give us what we want. And the other 2 are just too frightened. But I think we will do it. We will go with him." And they did, and it worked out brilliantly. You know, I think there's an element of we can be too staid and we have to think outside that box. And I've had that happen to me a lot. People have said, "Oh, you won't last 5 minutes because you think outside the box." And then I've been turning the lights off after a year. So you can never tell. And sometimes it's just the situation at the time, the people that you're working with, the appetite for change.
Which doesn't suit everybody.
No, it doesn't. And sometimes you have to do it gently, slowly. It's a bit like with the AI. You have to do things in small increments. We're not throwing everything out. We're keeping this, but we're adding this on so that they've got an understanding and it's not too scary for people, whilst treating them as adults.
Yeah, absolutely. I think of it in terms of IT also. It's very much in terms of leadership management skills, but with the groups who need to learn IT, do you think that applies to IT training, personalized learning?
Personalised learning has been around for a long time. We just called it something different, Robin.
Okay.
Adaptive learning. It's just come to the fore because of how you can do it with AI and the tools that we have available to us now. But I've always looked at what people really wanted to achieve from those sessions. And sometimes that was not on the outline. And then I would get a consensus to whether or not other people were interested in this. If they were, we'd do it in a break. If they weren't, I'd do it. So I've always been adaptive and consultative in how I've worked. Right. I'm not transactional in that way. I'd rather give it to somebody who can do a good job. But I do think it's important you get the right person for the right job, and they personalize learning pathways. I think they're brilliant. I think if you can get it, they already know that you know this, so you don't have to repeat that module. You can go straight to this. Yeah. That's always been great. You need to know your people.
Yeah.
And you need to know the end outcome, whether it's a physical skill or the ability to understand the compliance rules for this particular finance sector or whatever. And so what you're trying to do is to make them a bit more livelier. And sometimes just doing online e-learning isn't always the best way. You need to mix it up. Yeah, mix it up for people. Personalized learning is shown to increase its value when it's deployed correctly. There are huge gains to be made, both for the learners and for the company.
I agree. So I want to ask you, what have you got on your mind in terms of talking to your clients and telling them how they need to be future ready? You know, the steps they need to take to be prepared for the future.
I think the future is changing quite fast, and there are lots of moving pieces. So I think it's important to look at the constants within the organization and really look at what you have in terms of ability in your workforce, what you're trying to achieve in the next 6, 12, 18 months, and how L&D or a intervention of some sort can improve and expedite perhaps things for you, or at least keep things moving forward. The other thing I would also say is on the side to keep an eye to what if this happens and what if that happens? So a few little what if scenarios as to what you could do. We should all be doing that now, because nobody has a job for life anymore. Everybody does, as we've both done, many different things. And so that portfolio way of working, where skills come in and come out, you can immediately think, that's where I've got a gap, or actually we're covered on that. We know what we can do, and we've got a plan. It's when we've got no plans at all, you're just drifting a little bit. You're not 100% focused, and we need to be on it a lot of the time now. You can't just take your foot off the gas and go, oh, everything's wonderful, because it's not.
Any things that you'd like to mention that I haven't, because I'm sure that you might have had other ideas of things that would be worthy of discussion today?
Well, I think taking the view that we're not just putting a course on, and we're not just course organisers or, getting a register out and putting the names through. We're not just taking the bookings. I find now maybe 80% of the work that I do requires consultation, requires some finessing, using policies, using documents that are their own internally, that will get better traction and engagement for when we deliver the training. And that's whatever that might be. It's whether it's IT related or people skills. They're both equally important, that you understand these are the rules and regs, and this is what it really means on a day-to-day basis for you. It's an exciting world we're in, and there's lots of opportunity and lots of ideas and lots of great work being done, but people need to feel confident in the times that we're leading right now. Business confidence has taken some knocks, but I think that looking after your workforce and training them and keeping them skilled with what you need them to do is the very best you can do.
Great. Thank you very much for joining today. For our listeners, you can listen to the podcast that we create on skillsassess.ai/podcast.
Thank you, Robin.
Okay, thank you very much.